It's Rise and Shine with Lady C, where we uplift, educate, and motivate. Let's talk about life and faith, ministry, community, and so much more. I'm Lady C, your host. Be sure to follow, like, and share Rise and Shine with Lady C on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for joining me every week right here on 1580thepraise.com. Today, family, I have a special guest in the studio, none other than Stephanie Robinson, Executive Director of the Westerville Area Resource Ministry located in Westerville, Ohio. Stephanie is not only an executive, but a believer. She is putting her faith and administrative skills to ensure that the spiritual and natural needs are met through this amazing faith-based ministry. Welcome, Stephanie Robinson.
Thank you, Lady C. So happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me today. Before I get started, I do want to say thank you to your amazing staff of yours who coordinated this divine connection and interview. And thank you to Cynthia Ford and Stella Haley. I'm so grateful for them. So just so excited to have you here. Family, we're talking about the amazing ministry of the Westerville Area Resource Ministry, known as WARM. So Stephanie, let's delve into it. So please share with me, who is the Executive Director, Stephanie Robinson?
That's a wonderful question. I don't know about the Executive Director, but I can tell you about Stephanie
That's good.
Robinson.
Yes.
So born and raised right here in Columbus, Ohio, not too far from where we are now, right off of Lockbourne Road.
Awesome.
First generation to go to college, first to do a lot of different things. And as you can imagine, with that comes a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my faith comes in as a believer. I'm definitely a believer of Jesus Christ. He is the reason why I'm here. He's the reason why I've been able to do whatever it is that I've been able to do.
That's awesome.
And I just give him the praise and glory.
Yes.
I don't, it's kind of uncomfortable to talk about myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It really is. So I'm happy to talk about WARM. I'm happy to talk about a whole bunch of things. But when someone asks me about me, it's just different because I feel like I'm ever changing, ever evolving, right?
That's good.
So as we submit ourselves to Christ, He changes us.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
And so we continue to grow, we continue to expand. If I had to sum it up, I would simply say I'm a believer. As far as an executive director, I am a servant leader, but I'm also a transformational leader.
I like that.
I like to follow the life of Christ in that He was definitely a servant, but He was definitely a change agent.
Yes.
So everywhere I go, I bring a little bit of change.
Come on now. Listen, the constant thing in this world is change. And I like that. I like that. So Stephanie, talk with us about your journey and how that led you to partnering with WARM and becoming the executive director.
Interesting. So after I finished college, I really was not even interested in nonprofit. Wow. I was pursuing my professional career in corporate America.
Okay.
Had a couple of downsizing due to the economy, and I found myself going to a local nonprofit for some assistance. Okay. I had been with my previous employer almost 10 years, and I had not interviewed in a while. I needed some tips on upgrading my resume, different things of that nature.
Absolutely.
And I was really surprised by the treatment that I received.
Wow.
And I sat there thinking, I could do better than this. Because my previous experience was that of a process improvement leader. So I had gone through formal training, Lean Six Sigma, Kaizen. So I was trained to look at something and say, that's good, but how can you make it better? How can you make it more efficient?
That's good.
And so not to be judgmental, but just to make improvements, right? And so as I was going through that process of being unemployed and trying to find my next career, I stumbled upon nonprofit. And I just remember praying to God saying, people are at their greatest need.
Yeah.
And they need really good services. And if you would allow me, I would be honored to do this, right?
Wow.
6-7 months later, that opportunity opened up.
Wow.
Now, you had to know this was a God thing because when you're on the corporate ladder, if you will, it's all about your next. It's about the promotion. It's about the pay.
Yes. Yes, it is.
But I took a $20,000 pay cut.
Wow.
And it wasn't
Wow.
like I had it like that. Trust
Yeah.
and believe, I did not. And I needed all of my coins.
Yes.
However, I just really felt the leading of God.
Yeah.
And I knew it was God. And when I got in there, it felt like it was home.
Wow. Wow.
And so I was there for maybe 6-7 months and was promoted. And I just continued to climb, right?
Okay.
I learned a lot. But honestly, most of it was just loving on people,
Wow.
not judging people.
That's powerful.
Realizing that I was whoever that person was walking in, right? So if they were unemployed, I've been there, done
Yeah.
that. I know how they feel.
You understood.
Exactly. If it was someone who was, let's say they were just getting out of the judicial system and they needed some assistance. Real talk, I've never been in this system, but that's by the grace of God. It's not like I've never done anything that I could not have, right? So again, no judgment zone.
Right.
Loving people and meeting people where they
Yes.
are, pouring into them, sharing resources, training opportunities, and letting them know that you're simply a living example and that if God could do it for you, he could do it for them.
That's powerful. That's powerful. Family, I had the opportunity to tour the warm facilities. I was blown away. I'm just like, oh my goodness. I had always heard about the Westerville Area Resource Ministry, also known as WARM, had heard about it for years. And when I went there and how meticulous the organization and how it's set up to serve the Westerville community, and it was just amazing. Can you share with the family why this organization was created?
Sure, I'll be happy to. It started back in 1972. There was a lady by the name of Almina Smock. Unfortunately, Miss Smock transitioned this past April, but it really started as her vision. There was a young family in her parish, and the mother had passed away due to complications of childbirth. She noticed that the father and his children were struggling, so she began to collect food as an offering for this family.
Wow.
Only to realize that there were so many other members within her parish that needed this same support. So within 3.5, 4 years, her husband's like, so what are we doing here? Our garage is full of things,
Wow.
and I can't park my car. And so at that point, the various churches within Westerville area came together to form an alliance, and that's where WARM came from, and that's why we're called the Westerville Area Resource Ministry. With that, though, I would like to elaborate, just because it says Westerville. It's actually the Westerville School District.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if someone possibly lives in Columbus, but they're considered part of the Westerville City School District, they're still within our region. And so we go up to like Morse, 161 and Schrock, around that area. And if you just have questions whether or not you're within that region, please give us a call. We'll be more than happy to help you. And if for some reason you're not within our region, we are also still happy to make those referrals to a region that's closer to you.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So family, listen up. If you're in that area, definitely this is a resource. If you are a part of the Westerville School District, you really want to tap into this resource. I mean, it is truly a blessing to the community. So Stephanie, can you tell me what is the mission and goal of WARM?
Excellent question. So it really is to share God's hope
That's good.
with our neighbors within that Westerville region, right? And so whatever that looks like, most people know WARM to be a food pantry, but we are so much more than a food pantry. We have workforce development services.
Awesome.
We have community outreach events. We have pastoral and spiritual care.
Awesome.
And if we don't have it and that individual needs it, then we have those community partners that we refer our neighbors out to.
Awesome. So talk to me, because you know this is 1580thepraise.com. Talk to me about the pastoral care element. What does that look like? What does that look like?
I'm going to say it looks like Christ.
Oh, that's good.
And what I mean by that is it looks like whatever that person needs it to look like. It is not a set prayer or a set program or a set protocol. It is individualized based upon what that person needs, what that person is asking for, and what that person is open to.
That's awesome.
So when individuals come in to receive their food package, we check in with them. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Do you need to speak with someone? Would you like prayer? Whatever it is, sometimes they come to us and say, I'm really going through a hard time right now. Is there anyone here that I could speak to?
That is powerful. And that's what I love about this organization, is that it's meeting not only the natural needs,
absolutely,
but the spiritual needs. Where do you know where you can go? And if you need to pick up, food, and you can receive prayer, you can receive spiritual care. Wow. Westerville, Ohio is a beautiful suburban city, and one may think that residents are not in need. And so I'm kind of hearing about this across the country, about suburban areas where there's this persona that there aren't any deficits, that there aren't any needs. Can you talk a little bit about that, that myth, or, because you have a certain zip code, that there isn't food insecurity, in your home?
Absolutely. Great question. So I just think, based upon the day and the time that we live in, there are needs everywhere.
Yeah.
I think sometimes just because we may not necessarily be affected by it does not mean that it's not going on.
That's good.
And I do believe that it's a myth that someone would think simply because you live or reside in a suburban area that you don't have needs. And I think that COVID made that plain to us, right?
Oh, yes.
So you could have a large home, a nice car, and for no fault of your own, for example, the pandemic, lose all of that overnight, get sent home for a year, year and a half, 2 years, and now you find yourself in need. Doesn't make you a bad person. Doesn't mean you've not taken care of your family. It simply means you are human and you are living, and life happens to us all.
Yes.
And so one of the things that we pride ourselves on, if I can use the word pride, simply is to treat everyone with respect and dignity, because life happens to us all.
Oh, my goodness.
And if it hasn't, just keep living.
Come on now, keep living.
And so the stats tell us that, believe it or not, there are estimated to be 28,000 individuals and families within the Westerville City School District that are at least 200% or below the federal poverty guidelines.
Wow.
28,000.
Wow. Oh, my, 28,000. Oh, my goodness. So again, family, if you are in the Westerville City School District, tap into the Westerville Area Resource Ministry. So what inspired you to take this leadership role as the executive director?
Great questions. So interesting enough, I was not even looking for a job.
Wow.
I was so content. I don't want to say lazy, but I was super content, and I was just going to ride this out. I loved where I was at. I loved the individuals that I was working with and the work that I was doing, right? Because it was still nonprofit, still giving back to the community, still making a positive impact. And I had, in times past, like I shared with you, when I first got into nonprofit, and I would see some of the gaps in the service offerings, and I would say things like, oh, if I ever have the opportunity, I'm going to do it like this. Or if I ever get money, right?
We've all said that.
That's the big thing that holds us back. If I ever get a lot of money, this is how I'm going to have my nonprofit, and this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to be Christian-based. And I've said that. And enough people heard me say that when this job became available, I had multiple people come to me and say, I heard this organization was hiring. I think you should check that out.
Wow.
And I let it set for like 2.5, 3 weeks, right? And then someone else came and actually put a job description on my desk and said, I don't know if you've heard about that, but when I see that, that has your name all on that.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
And so I read it, I pushed it aside, I prayed over it, and it just would not release. And so I just went before God, and I says, God, I'm very comfortable.
Yeah.
I just want to remind you, Lord, how comfortable I really am in that. Is this really you? Because I'm content where I'm at. And some multiple interviews later.
Wow, look at God.
But you know what? I think it's definitely a God thing. It is providence and purpose, if you will. But it's almost as if I feel like I'm an Esther being brought to this kingdom for such a time as this, that everything I've ever gone through, has made me and prepared me for this, whether I looked for it or not. God knew before the foundation of the world. And so I'm very honored and very humble to be here, and I'm ecstatic to serve.
That's awesome. So again, just refreshing the eligibility criteria, you have to be connected with the Westerville City School District. How do you handle referrals? Is it made by the school? Can I self-refer? If I'm in that district, how does that work?
There are multiple ways that we receive referrals. A lot of them do come from the Westerville City School District, but they can come from neighbors.
Awesome.
They could come from friends. They could come from counselors. It could just simply be a neighbor walking in. It could actually just be someone that hears this broadcast and says, I'm not even for sure if I'm in that area, but I'm going to stop by.
Yes.
Stop by. Let us help you. In the event that you're not considered Westerville area, that is totally fine. We have some wonderful community partners that we could refer you to so that whatever your needs are, your needs will be met. Our whole goal is when someone leaves, we want them to leave whole.
That's awesome. Yes, I like that. Whole. I love that. And how you talked about, doing things with dignity and respect, because you're so right, Stephanie. You never know. Things can take a turn.
Absolutely.
Anyone can lose their job overnight,
I did. That's how I got into nonprofit. It wasn't anticipated, wasn't expected. Our whole department was downsized, and I'm like, surely it's not going to be difficult to find a job, right? Not necessarily so.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So share with me how one can get involved or partner with WARM.
We're always looking for partners, always looking for volunteers. So there's multiple different areas. The best way is probably just to give us a call and share with us what your interests are.
Okay.
So we have a lot of volunteer opportunities, whether that's individuals, whether that's a corporate team wanting to do a team building exercise.
Awesome.
People can drop food off. We have a food drop off, or organizations or companies can do food drives.
Wonderful.
There's so many different ways. People always ask, do you take cash? Do you take food? And the answer is always yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. That's awesome. So for those of you who are looking for to partner, with a wonderful organization, to volunteer, definitely please consider the Westerville Area Resource Ministry. So Stephanie, as a leader and believer, who inspires you?
Great question. Of course, my faith. So Jesus inspires me. I think probably my greatest inspiration came from my mom, who has since transitioned.
Okay.
My mother didn't finish high school, but she pressed upon us the importance of education.
That's good.
And she never accepted any excuses.
Wow.
We had to have our homework done before we could go outside or play or watch TV, right? Certain things, your room had to be clean. I never knew.
Wow.
It was she was very inspirational. If we ever complained, she would always tell us how good we have it and that there's always someone that's worse. Or what she used to do when I was younger, for those individuals that are familiar with the Columbus area, I remember being 4th and 5th grade, and we would go to TICO and volunteer. My mother would take me around other young people that were experiencing challenges, and she would tell me, suck it up.
Wow.
You don't have anything to complain for. You have parents. You have a home. You have food.
Yeah.
Now help somebody else that
That's
doesn't.
good. That's
right?
good.
Or we would volunteer at the church.
Oh,
or
yeah.
I remember one Christmas I received a lot of dolls for whatever reason, and I picked out 2 or 3, and I gave the rest of them away because someone else needed it more than I did.
Wow.
So it's always about being thankful for what you have, but always giving.
Absolutely.
And so my mom would be my greatest inspiration.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Oh my goodness. We were talking about, how when you were a youth, you used to volunteer. Regarding volunteering, is there a certain age to be a volunteer? If I'm a high school student, are there volunteer opportunities for high school students?
There are volunteer opportunities for high school students. There's actually volunteer opportunities for individuals that are younger than that, believe it or not.
Wow.
The only requirement would be is that they would be accompanied by their parent or legal guardian.
Okay.
Or let's say they're in a Girl Scout or a Boy Scout kind of organization, and that their group leader would be there. And if they're under 18, then their guardian would have to sign off on a waiver, but they are more than welcome to come, because we believe that corporate and community responsibility starts at a young age.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh my goodness. So by any chance, are there any upcoming events for WARM? And I read where you also recently celebrated 50 years.
I know.
50. I'm just like, oh my goodness, that is awesome.
It's amazing. WARM is an amazing place, and I have to give kudos to all of those that came before me. They have laid such a rich foundation.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, I can't think of any particular events that are coming up like right around the corner, but continue to visit us on our website, because we will be having our Thanksgiving blessing, where we do our big food drive to make sure that our neighbors within the Westerville community have everything they need for Thanksgiving, and that includes the turkey and all of the fixings and everything.
What a blessing. Oh my goodness.
It is a blessing.
I tell you, what an amazing organization to partner with. During this time, because I know everyone is shifting employment, and are there any particular, is there a job board for, are there any open positions within WARM currently right now where they can go to your website?
Absolutely. I believe there are 2 openings right now. One is considered to be a transformation coach, and the other is going to be a support coach, because when individuals come in, it's not just enough to give them food.
Yeah.
We want to wrap our arms around them. We want to make sure, see what they need, and meet them at the place of their needs. And if you've been unemployed or just going through for a while, you're going to need more than food anyway. You're going to need to talk to someone.
That is good.
You're going to need to figure out, what are your next steps? Do you need help making a plan of action, right?
That's good.
And then do you need to speak to someone, or are you interested in speaking with someone to have prayer? Because depending upon how long you've been unemployed, that messes with your psyche.
Absolutely.
That messes with your ego. And you need to know that where you're going through is just temporary. It's not going to last forever. And we have different coping mechanisms that we can share with you to help you through that.
Oh my goodness. And one of the things, Stephanie, that I love about this is that you really have a hands-on approach to really encourage people that you are not alone.
Absolutely not. No. And you're never alone. And so once someone comes through WARM, they're family. And it's so amazing, because a lot of our wonderful volunteers have actually received services before.
Wow.
And so they become our biggest champions. When someone comes up and they're a little hesitant, they can kind of sense, because they've been there. They go out, they greet people, they say, listen, no judgment zone, we're here to help. I've been where you are, let me tell you what I've done, and let me show you, and how can I help you, and how can I serve you.
Wow. Family, I'm telling you, you have to check out WARM, the Westerville Area Resource Ministry. When I went to visit, I saw a beautiful gardens outside.
Fresh produce.
Yes.
We raise fresh produce. That is, if the groundhogs will stay out of it, we raise fresh produce. Yes. Awesome.
And I just think that is just so amazing. You know, it is really a blessed building. I cannot, just all the wonderful resources that you provide, to the community in such a loving, non-judgmental, and prayerful, way. And that's so important. That's so important. So can you tell us, Stephanie, where can we connect with you with WARM on social media, website, address? So if you could give us all your contact information.
Absolutely. So WARM is actually located at 150 Heather Down Drive. That's in Westerville, 43081. If you're interested in giving us a call, that number is going to be 614-899-0196. And you can find us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. I'm not sure if we're on those are the ones that I know for sure. I was going to say TikTok, but I'm not sure.
Well, I hope to see you on there TikToking.
Listen, I I saw one of the staff on TikTok, and so I'm not sure if Warm's on there, but got a couple of staff members that are trying to dance.
Yes, I love it. That is awesome. That is awesome. So, as we begin to wrap up, can you let our listeners, know again your hours? Are there certain hours that they can come in? How does that work?
Sure. Our main hours are between 9 and 4:30 p.m.
Okay.
For those that are really interested, please give us a call. There's so many different entryways, right?
Yeah.
So let's say someone is not below the poverty level, but they still need some help. We can still help them with our client services. We can still help them with our Thrive programs or some of our other service offerings.
Yeah.
If you need assistance with workforce or things of that nature, we're able to help you, and that is not based on your social economic background.
Awesome.
So don't let any challenges turn you away. We're here to help.
That's awesome. And as we close out, could you leave just an encouraging word to that person who is in transition? They've lost hope. They don't know what to do. They don't know how they're going to pay the bills. They don't know how they're going to get groceries. But could you encourage that person that's listening, that's in transition right now?
Absolutely. I will share just that Christ is the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. He doesn't change. And one of the benefits about Christ was love.
Yeah.
He loved everyone. He went to everyone, right? So what I would like to share is, though, Warm is a faith-based organization.
Yeah.
But everyone is welcome, even if you're not a believer.
Amen.
We are there to serve, not to judge, not to figure out what church you go to, what your belief system is.
Yes.
We are there to meet you at your point of need.
Yes.
Whether it's an emergency, whether it's an ongoing plan of action. And I would just encourage people just to hold on.
Yeah.
Just don't give up. I know it's hard. It was hard for me. It didn't happen overnight, right? However, hold on, reach out for help.
Yes.
Let us come alongside of you and support you and strengthen you.
Yes. Well said. Well said. Thank you, Miss Stephanie Robinson. Thank you. And again, she is the executive director of the Westerville Area Resource Ministry. Family, tap into this amazing faith-based organization who recently celebrated 50 years. So they have been in ministry, serving the community faithfully for 50 years. And thank you to all the wonderful, good people at Warm who work